Hello, everybody. WeeBrabbit here, and welcome back to the Otaku Overload episode 13. This week, we might have a bit of a shorter podcast because Legend of Jonathan and I each have something we have to get to. So we're trying to just, go through it normally. We're not trying to do it rushed, but I still think it's going to be a bit shorter in nature. So just throwing that out there. And yeah, how are you doing, Legend of Jonathan?
I'm doing great. How about you, bro?
I am doing pretty good. Like I said, I know we're both kind of busy. We got some stuff that's pending. But
Yeah.
besides that, though, it's been a pretty good week. I have some new stuff to talk about. I know you have some new stuff to talk about. And I guess before that, I just want to follow up with last week, the 100 subscriber special. I know you did some streaming and stuff. How do you felt
hmm
all that stuff went?
It went the same as usual, but I was pretty happy to, hit that like mark, and I
Mm,
was happy streaming. And then what made it better is that like I knew that like afterwards I saw that people had watched after it had ended. People like rewatched it. And I got a lot of views, and I was super happy to see that, there were people who were watching and supporting it. And it was super fun because on stream I had 𝐤𝐤𝐤 on the stream with me, and haven't really had him like do them with me. So it
mm.
was pretty cool, having someone there, literally a part of the stream. And yeah, it was pretty fun. I streamed for like 2 hours, I think, or like three.
Mm.
And it's one of the few long streams I've done, but I promise that, yeah, I'm gonna do more longer streams.
Well, that's pretty cool. Sounds fun. Sounds like you had a good time. And hopefully, subscribers and stuff keep growing. I mean, I know
Yeah.
you had hit 100. Is it past 100 at this point, or is it still 100?
It's like 104, 105 around there.
That's pretty good. See, there you go. You already passed a little bit more, so that is awesome.
hmm
All
Yeah.
right. Good, good, good. Sounds fun. All right. With that being said, are you ready to dive into your week to officially get the
Oh
podcast
yes.
started? All
Oh
right.
yes.
So go ahead. Let us know what you did this week, last week.
So the first thing I did was, after such a long time of not being able to watch the whole movie because I didn't have I kind of just wanted to watch it like in a good quality and everything. I finally got to watch the whole entirety of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children.
Oh, you never watched like the whole thing all the way through?
No, not the whole way
Oh, that's
through.
funny.
No.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah, so that's what I watched. It was super good. It's so funny. You can tell it has like flaws because like there's scenes where like characters will talk, but then they interrupt each other. So like
Mm,
there's a part where like basically Cloud's talking to this dude that appeared in like the game, and he's like, yeah, this and that. The because there's explosions in the first in Final Fantasy VII. There's like multiple of them, but yeah, he's like, yeah, when I got caught in the explosion, like literally as he's about to finish that sentence, Cloud interrupts him, and he's like, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
okay. So this comes
It's
off as like really weird, like really
Yeah, and
stilted,
then
really
and then
stilted.
he tries to finish it, and he's like, "Nope, I'm leaving." And it was just funny, where it was like these back and forths of them trying to talk,
Oh
and then I
God.
was just like, "Oh my God!" I started laughing.
Yeah, I mean,
And I'm like,
I would say that's kind of some of that anime stuff, maybe because of translations or I don't know why, but that's why a lot
mhm.
of people make fun of like anime dialogue and stuff because sometimes it just comes off as weird, maybe because it's a translation thing or like who knows what the deal is. It's just I don't know, but I
Yeah,
can almost imagine what you're talking about. I kind of have like an idea almost what you're talking about.
yeah, because like this dude just shows up and he's like in a wheelchair and he has like his face covered, and then Cloud's like, "Oh great, it's this guy," and then Cloud is just standing here like, "Okay, like I have to listen to this dude. What does he want?" And the moment he starts explaining, freaking, he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm
Oh
leaving."
God,
And
that's
I'm like,
weird.
"Oh,
Oh, real
oh."
quick, for people who might not know, where in the timeline does this movie take place? What is this movie about in the grander scope of Final Fantasy VII?
So basically, just like a summary without going into like the oh my God, like stuff that happens at the end and everything. Basically, it's that it takes place 2 years after the defeat of Sephiroth at the end of I was gonna say Kingdom Hearts.
What the hell?
Like damn. Oh, 2 years after the defeat of Sephiroth in Final Fantasy, the original game. And
Mhm.
basically there's this disease going around that's called geostigma and basically geoligma. Okay, geostigma. And basically the majority of people who get it, it's kind of like the Black Plague where some people it's just them, they have a hard time breathing. Sometimes they have like the weird like spores, like the black marks, and they're just kind of living with it. And other people, when they get it, they just kind of like throw up blood and like blow up and stuff. It affects them really horribly.
Mhm.
So you guys can get an image that yeah, it's basically the Final Fantasy equivalent of yeah, like the Black Plague basically. And most of the majority of the people who do get it happen to be children. And so all there's a lot of kids that they're suffering from it. There's a lot of people taking care of these kids. There's a lot of family members that die. So a lot of the kids live like by themselves in the streets, trying to take care of themselves.
Yeah, 'cause if it's after
And
Final Fantasy VII, that means like a lot of stuff went down, right?
that was what happened
So
because they try
that's
to
there's
like
a lot. That's why there's a
reconstruct.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of orphans and a lot of destruction and people trying to kind of move on from it.
hmm
Makes sense.
And um, basically we're introduced to well, actually, no, the other girl, the little girl, I think she's just what's his name, Barrett's daughter.
Marlene or
Um,
whatever.
Marlene, yeah, it's Marceline, I think, or
No, I'm pretty sure it's
Marlene.
Marlene. Pretty
Yeah,
sure I think it's supposed to be
Marlene.
Marlene. I'm not too sure
And
though,
then
but
the other character, because here, this is where she's like a major character. Other character, his name is Denzel. And oh my God, does this kid give me freaking Ventus vibes?
oh, from Kingdom
Like not,
Hearts.
not even just like the hair and like the height, because like they're not similar heights. It's that basically him, yeah, he happens to be one of these people who he has like a disease, he has a disease, and him, he doesn't want it obviously because he's gonna die eventually, and there's no cure to it, and so he's kind of like, okay, like I want to find help, and this is where like the introduction of the bad guys kind of come in, basically for like the past 2 years. Here, this is where it gets kind of like the point is 2 years later, it becomes like a major problem. Basically there's these weird people who go around and they have like whitish hair, which honestly by that description kind of have a feeling that they have similarities to like a villain, and well, a certain villain, that's what I'm getting at. And basically Cloud and the gang, they're kind of dealing with these people, they're trying to see like what do they want. And obviously Cloud's like, okay, like I want to help these kids, I want to help prevent these guys from getting these kids because for some reason these people are associated with like Nova, and basically they're like, oh yeah, Genova will like, or no, not Genova, our mother will cure this disease, blah blah blah. And so basically the plot is that Cloud, along with his friends, they're trying to save these kids from these people who basically worship Genova as like their mother because I guess they're like genetically like connected to them, to her.
Hmm.
And so yeah, that's basically the movie. If you've played the original Final Fantasy VII or the plot of Seven, I definitely do recommend the movie because yeah, it was really good. It's just yeah, like the dialogue, since from the subtitles itself, it seems like they really did directly translate the stuff from Japanese to English. It's just really awkward at times though. So
Gotcha.
that is like the flaw though.
Yeah,
And
so some of the lines and delivery and stuff's kind of weird,
mhm.
but you do like everything else, like the story, the action, and everything.
Yeah, and then the humor's pretty good too. I like the humor because obviously you can tell they didn't want to obviously keep it like very serious, kind of like
Hmm.
the original Seven where it was more of side quests that were more goofy and stuff.
Hmm.
Um Here, yeah, like what's his name, Reno from the original Seven. Oh my God, freaking this kid! Well, he's a like you can tell he's like a teen, like a young, like an older teenager dude. Freaking this dude's super like he's a really good comedic aspect to the movie. I liked him.
That's cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember I saw that movie a while ago. I don't remember, man, it would have been like more than 10 years ago, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. I think it's a pretty good follow-up to Seven. Uh, it is weird timeline wise because technically, if you just play like the games, you get to seven. Seven ends off in a way where you're not really sure what happens after they fight
Hmm.
Sephiroth. And so this kind of says no, after they fight Sephiroth, the gang survived, as you can say, and everybody's trying to rebuild and everything's okay. But the way the seven ends, it doesn't exactly tell you that, which is weird.
It doesn't, yeah.
And that it seems like this movie, believe it or not, I mean, I know you know, but for people listening, apparently the movie might actually play into the remake, Final Fantasy VII remake,
Yeah.
because remake shakes some things up, and there's some stuff from the movie that seems to kind of like show up in the game, and there's some
Oh
stuff
yeah,
that's
I've seen it, yeah.
implied once again based on timeline stuff. So that's very weird. But it'll be interesting, obviously, as remake progresses to see where the story ends up. Because
Hmm.
yeah, like the seven was supposed to kind of be the end of the story, but then they kind of added material afterwards, including this movie, and now they're doing remake, and I don't know. We'll have to see where all this ends up because it feels like the timeline and the story is kind of a little bit all over the place. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is that yeah, I've watched the movie and I thought it's pretty good. I think there's some really cool action and stuff, and it looks pretty good too, like pretty good visuals and everything.
It does. I mean,
Especially remember that it was made like a while ago. It's not like it's like from like a year or two ago. It's like a
it was from
while
2000, it
ago.
was like 2005 to 2007 around there.
Something like that,
Hmm.
yeah.
Um, the only like part of like the animation I thought was weird is like Cloud's face. That's the only character I think he kind of looks weird. Because for example, like when he's like staring at his phone, usually in like those 3D animes as well, they kind of like show that they like blink. Cloud doesn't really blink. He kind of stares like wide-eyed, which is kind of
Hmm.
weird. But I will agree, obviously, because that's like, well, it's older animation. I guarantee you they were just kind of getting the movie out quicker and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we also have to consider that it could just be like them kind of being like, oh yeah, we know that Cloud has trauma and stuff and like all this other stuff. It can literally just be like, oh yeah, this dude just has like issues to the point that even his physical aspects like messed up, you know?
Yeah, it could be.
Hmm. So yeah, the movie was good. Um,
Cool, cool.
Definitely that, yeah, it was pretty good. Moving on, just keeps talking about seven adamant children. Um, Talking about RPG stuff, I got to finally play Persona 3 Portable.
Oh, nice. Cool, cool, cool.
Oh my God, I love the game so far. I barely just got to the first dungeon, which is called Tartarus.
Well, I
And
mean,
even
that's what the dungeon area is called. It's kind of like in the fifth one where there's the metaverse, but then within the metaverse there's a bunch of different floors. The
mhm,
fourth one, I forget how it works. It's something similar. And a lot of these, that's the way it works. So there's like one main huge area, and you do like different blocks or different areas of this dungeon area. So yeah, for the
mhm.
third one, it's Tartarus all the way. But what you meant is you barely started like that
The
first.
first part,
Oh,
yeah.
cool, cool, cool. Yeah.
Um, I like the gameplay. I like the gameplay a lot. Especially I like the uniqueness of it, where even though in other RPGs I've used strategic stuff, here it feels like it really does prepare you. Where it feels like you're very like even like the game kind of tells you in the cutscenes like during the tutorial, it feels like it really does make you like say, yeah, forget just the button mashing. You really do have to actually think, sort of thing. And I actually like that where it made me kind of be like, no, I do need to know like the enemy's weakness so I can like level up quicker and faster. I like the fact that I found out where if you press B and A in like a certain like way, your character won't attack just once, they'll attack like twice, which I liked. And then the plot I've been liking it so far as well. And yeah, I've just been liking it so far. I've loved it.
That's good. That's cool.
Um Obviously I'm liking this more than five, which I mean that's kind of not like ironic since a lot of people do like five more. But then we also have to consider the fact that I barely am actually playing 3. Well, Persona 5, I barely play like maybe like a few days later, like the story wise. I progressed a few days, and here obviously I progressed like a week or two by this point.
Yeah,
So
if you
that's
got
a
you
that's
got
a
further into three, so
because like when you get to like Tartarus in game, it's supposed to be like a week or two, and freaking Persona 5, it's like you don't get to like the dungeon until like weeks later or something like that, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I've just been liking it so far.
that's cool.
I'm definitely gonna be playing 3 first. Like people have suggested kind of just go by number. So I'm gonna play 3 first, then see if I play 4, because I have it as well, and then play 5.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
that's how I'm gonna do it, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say, jumping in because I did talk about Persona 3 Portable, I think last week or the week before. Yeah, I really like a lot of the stuff that the Persona series does. I think it does like a lot of really interesting stuff with RPGs. I think it's interesting. It's not just attacks or magic. There's attacks, there's magic. You have kind of like some other games where they have the what do you call it when you like check an enemy? A scan. It has scan, but scan is one of the people in your party.
Hmm.
It's you and your other party members. You can switch around with personas. That way you have access to different magic. The magic's really different compared to everything else, where it's kind of Final Fantasy style, where it's like, oh, there's fire and Fyra and stuff like named in that convention. It's
Hmm.
really interesting where they have their own version of everything. Where like fire is 𝐥𝐤𝐤 and wind is a guru and electricity is 𝐦𝐤𝐤. And then like as you like progress at that, the names change and stuff. And then it also lets you mess with all of the like defensive and offensive stats too, where it's like,
Hmm.
oh, I cast a spell so that it weakens the defense of like the enemies for like 3 turns, and it's like really strategic. There's like a lot of different moves and how you use them, and you have to like notice what like each of the enemy's weak spots is to like attack them and stuff is really cool.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just think it's like really in depth. It's really cool, and
Yeah, that's what I like.
yeah, and something I like about Persona 3 in particular. I don't know how much of this you saw since you kind of barely started doing the dungeon crawling part. I like that it's something that I think took away in the other games. I've talked about this before, I think. Um, the thing called shuffle time, where depending on
Oh
how
yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, depending on how you do your match, it'll like say like, shuffle time, and it puts like let's say it's always random, but it might say like here's a card that is experience, here's one that is money, and here's one that's a free persona. And it says like keep your eye on whatever card you want, and then it shuffles them, and you have to like memorize where it was and like pick it. And so I think I really like to do that because as I'm dungeon crawling, I like to really like go for the money and experience mostly. Because yeah, I mean if you get the money, it adds up and you can use that for weapons and stuff. And then if you like get the experience, then you get extra experience for every fight. And I
Hmm.
love doing that because it lets you like really, especially as you get farther in, I think it lets you double down. Where like let's say you got magic, I'm sorry, let's say you got the shuffle time and you used it to get like the experience. I think it says like would you want to do like double or nothing or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but then it lets you do it again. And if you do it again, it's an even bigger amount of experience or money or whatever.
Oh wow. Yeah, because
And so it's like
I
really easy to exploit. It's like really fun. And I remember that I used to love doing that with dungeon crawling because that really helps you like level up or to get like a lot of money. And in the other games, it doesn't really have that. Like in the fifth one, doesn't have that at all. And then the fourth one, it has a shuffle time, but it's only for personas. So
oh
it's kind of like
wow.
it's kind of boring. But this one, I love that you can do that. You can pick whatever like stat you want, basically, and you're like, oh hell no, I'm just gonna like exploit money this whole visit to the dungeon and get a bunch of money, or I'm just gonna go for experience every time. It's like really cool.
Yeah, because that's what happened to me. I did a few shuffle times, and I think because I couldn't memorize the cards. I did end up with like a persona,
Hmm.
which was like the fairy one. And then when I saw that confused like my current persona with like the fairy one, it told me like, oh yeah, you can fuse it to get this one. And I looked it up and it was like an ice one. And I'm like, yeah, it's not a good decision right now, considering it was like really early on and something about like right now most of the enemies are weak to fire. So I'm like, yeah, it's not really good because if I fuse them, I can't defuse them. And I just screw myself over by doing that.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, so yeah, that's part of, like you said, it's part of the strategizing. But then again, if you
Hmm.
fuse them, maybe your party can take care of it, and you can just try to hope to get another persona that once again has the
That's
move.
true.
So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Alrighty, are you done with your week then?
Yeah.
All right, cool, cool. Well, I hope you keep playing Persona 3 Portable because I don't quite know. I want to say 5 is still my favorite. I think because mechanically also it just has so much more cool stuff.
Oh
But
yeah,
I
I've
would
seen, yeah.
but the third one is definitely my second favorite easily, and then fourth is easily like my third least favorite. I think 3 has like a really good story too. It's like really cool if you keep playing it. I think you'll
Hmm.
enjoy it.
I've been liking the plot so far. It's been very interesting, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've definitely been trying to keep myself from like spilling it, or like if I do see some stuff, I'm kind of like, oh, and then like my memory just wipes, so which is funny. So I've been really trying to like do like spoiler free playing the
Yeah, yeah.
game.
All right, cool, cool, cool. Alrighty, jumping over to my week then, because you said that was it for you. I did 2 things of note. Oh, that's and well, actually, no, let me talk about it first, and I'll kind of explain a little bit what I mean. Sorry. I'm gonna get ahead of myself. So I watched a new anime and I played a new game. Starting with the anime, I watched an anime that was really cute. It's like freaking diabetes, and it's called Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. And it's this really cute anime where the main character, his name is Junta, I think. And Junta is like literally a background character, like turned up to like 11, where like literally people will forget he's there, or they'll even say like, "Was he here today? I don't remember seeing him today," or like, "Oh my God, he was here the whole time in class. I didn't even like notice him." Like it's extreme, like on purpose. Like it's like super over the top. Where yeah, he's a
Yeah.
background character that nobody notices. Like people forget he's there, that sort of thing. And obviously, it's supposed to be kind of like a metaphor for the fact that because he's really quiet, he doesn't really talk to anybody. It's supposed to be like, hey, it's almost like he doesn't exist, right? I think it's supposed to be kind of like
Hmm.
the metaphor. But as the title says, there's this girl in his class named Kubo, Nagisa Kubo, and she sits next to him. And she's this girl that I wouldn't say she's like super popular, but it seems like she definitely, is well known by her classmates, and she's supposed to be like really smart and pretty. And I think it says like she's good at some sports and stuff. So she's like pretty well rounded and she sits next to him and she seems to be the only one that ever like notices he's there. Like other people like literally like I said they're like, oh, he was here in class today, I didn't even like notice he was there or whatever. And she's always like, but he's like right here, like how did you guys not notice him? And it's because she has like a little crush on him, and I guess that's what makes it so easy for her to notice him, because she's always like he's right there, she's always like pay attention to him.
Yeah.
And some of the comedy comes from the fact that like she'll try to get him to do stuff because she like wonders like if people will notice or not if he does it. So it almost kind of like embarrass him. Like there's a part where she like has him like stand on his desk or whatever. And at first it's working where like nobody's noticing it until I remember what he does, but it's like super over the top. And like the teacher finally notices him and tells him to sit down. But she's like having fun with it. And
The
then later on, I remember what else she does. Then like um she raises her hand on purpose and then says she doesn't know the answer, but says that he does. That way, like, he'll have to like answer the question. And the teacher's like, "Oh, Junta's here. Sure, if he's here, he can answer the question." So she just kind of likes to like tease him a little bit and like try to get him noticed by everybody. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's just like really sweet because she obviously has a crush on him, and she does a lot of stuff. Like I don't know, like she kind of follows him around. She notices that he goes to take a bookstore to get manga, but the door with the automatic sliding door won't open for him because it doesn't notice him. Like
Oh
that's how extreme it
wow.
is. So she helps she goes in there with him and she borrows manga from him. And when he gets caught in like the rain or whatever, she invites him over to her house to take like a shower and get like a fresh change of clothes. And I don't know, it's just like a really sweet anime because it's like, like she teases him, but she's also like really nice to him, and she's like the only one that pays attention to him, and he's really shy and awkward and weird. And I don't know, it's just really cute because you can tell she has like, an obvious crush on him, and like the way she is always like going out of her way to like help him out or help him get noticed or whatever. I don't know, it's just really sweet.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah, it's just like a very cute, very low stakes anime. And I just thought it was really cute. And I watched like the first 3 episodes, I think, because I'd seen a thing where I was talking about like anime of the season, and they're like, "Oh, you might like this one, because it's really sweet or whatever," like the way I described it. And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll check it out. It sounds fun," and it's been really fun. And like I said, it's just very, very
Nice.
sweet, very low stakes. It's one of those things that you watch because if you want to, feel positive for like a half an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
And once again, it's called Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. And where it ties into that, I was kind of jumping the gun earlier, is that unfortunately, it did have 3 episodes, and I think it's gonna have like a couple more, but unfortunately, it's gonna get postponed for a while.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I saw the news earlier that it's gonna get postponed for a while after like I think like the next like 2 episodes or whatever. And that's what I
Yeah.
was gonna say too when I said I did 2 things of note, and then I kind of started jumping the gun, and I'm like, oh, I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back. What I was gonna say is that unfortunately, this isn't the only anime this season that's getting postponed, and that's kind of the reason I'm not talking about some other ones. I guess I'm gonna talk about
Yeah.
some new ones, and then once we see what's the situation with some of these other anime, I'll probably just cover them like once they're done or whatever because I
Yeah.
think like Nier Automata is getting postponed. I think the second season of Don't Toy with Me Nagatoro, I think it's also getting postponed at some point or something like
Oh
that.
wow.
Like those a few. I would need to like relook at the list, but I saw that like a few things are getting postponed, unfortunately. That's one of those things where like,
Wow.
oh, that sucks, but it is
That's
what it
great.
is,
Wow.
That's why I'll put those to the side, and I'll probably just like talk about the ones they're all done, instead of having to
Yeah.
like wait and talk about them every week or wait until they come back from being postponed or whatever. Might as well just talk about new stuff in the meantime, like this one I just discovered. And when these series finish, I'll talk about them then.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible, very cute. And it is coming out on, let me check. I think it's gonna be Crunchyroll. No, actually, my bad. It's High Dive. High Dive
Ah.
is that other one that's also like gotten a lot of
Oh, what's the one where
anime.
Ursay comes out on? Mm-hmm.
High Dive is the one that like really rose up lately. And it's kind of you
Mm-hmm.
can almost call it like the competition to Crunchyroll, especially now that Funimation and Crunchyroll are together. High Dive is like the
Mm-hmm.
direct competition that I guess like a lot of them go to Crunchyroll, a lot of them go to High Dive, and then like a small bit of them go to like Netflix or Disney
Yeah.
Plus or stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
but it's on High Dive, so
Okay.
yeah, it's pretty good. I guess it's pretty cute.
Nice. I was gonna say I just noticed that I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I didn't watch Earth this week.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay, I thought there was a reason you like didn't mention it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Then moving on to the game that I played. This one was a lot of fun, and it's funny because we had put as a news story about how Microsoft slash Bethesda was going to have a direct on the 25th. And yeah, this kind of came from that I watched the Bethesda slash Microsoft Direct. It was fine. I mean, they had said that there was going to be 5 different studios talking about 5 different games.
Yeah.
Most of them are stuff I don't care about, like, Minecraft or Forza
How dare you?
or
Okay.
or, Elder Scrolls Online, that sort of thing. Stuff I didn't really care for. However, when it came to Tango Gameworks, where the people that have made the Evil Within series and Tokyo Ghostwire that came out, not that long ago, it was their turn, and they introduced a game that is very different from stuff they've done in the past because they've done mostly horror. They introduced a game called Hi-Fi Rush. And
That
Hi-Fi
sounds cool.
Rush, yeah, Hi-Fi Rush, if you're looking at the art, it's like a very cartoony, bright cell shade style, which once again is so weird because all they've made is like realistic, very dark games.
Yeah.
And it's just this game that I would call it a if you look at like the official like description, it is called a rhythm action game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I would say that it feels like a mix of like a character action game, kind of like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, where you're doing combos and it grades you on the side based on like how good you're doing the combo and defeating the enemies.
Yeah.
It's that style of gameplay, but it's mixed with rhythm game. So literally, what
Mm.
happens is that your main character, his name is Chai, and he lives in this world where he wants to be a rock star, but I guess he has like it's implied it's a broken arm because he has it in a sling when like the game starts, and he goes to like this factory
Yeah.
laboratory thing, and they are supposed to give him a robot arm. But unfortunately, he gets like in an accident where he gets the robot arm, and his MP3 player basically like kind of like the way Tony Stark has the arc reactor in the middle of his chest. He has the
Hmm.
MP3 player. It's almost like his heart now. And
Oh
so
wow.
everything in the environment, he can like feel and sense the beat. There's just like a beat always going through his
Oh.
body, through his mind.
Like it picks up the freaking those signals from everything around him. Okay.
Something like that, yeah. And so the whole point is that it is indeed an action game, like I said, kind of like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, where you're doing combos and stuff. But there's like a beat always going on. And the good thing is that if you're like very rhythmically challenged, the button presses will like it'll always hit to the beat. But the point is that the better you are at actually like timing it, that's what makes your score and your attacks better.
Oh, that's pretty
Yeah, so even
nice.
if you suck at rhythm games, you're just like kind of like
It
pressing
tries to help you.
buttons, it'll still like land the hits to the beat. But the point is that the better you get at doing the beat, the better your attacks will be. So that's like the incentive.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool because it's just like this very colorful punk like aesthetic world where Chai has a robot arm, he has like this guitar looking thing he attacks with. It's all about like rhythm. It has a bunch of licensed music, but unfortunately, that's the thing too. I play this on the channel. When this goes up, the playthrough of like the first chapter or whatever should be up. And unfortunately, if you play it, like you stream it or you play it for like YouTube, you can't use the licensed music, obviously, but luckily it does have a streamer mode, which is what I used, and it puts original music. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's super cool.
But yeah, if you want to play it on your own, it has licensed music from actual bands, which is pretty cool. And like I said, it's just a very fun, really like, oh man, it's like really easy to get into, but it has a lot of depth because there's so much combos you can unlock, and there's like team members that they will integrate into your attacks and stuff. And obviously, like the better you are, like the rhythm stuff, the more combos and attacks that are stronger you get and stuff. So it's like a
Yeah.
very easy game to start, but it's very complex and like how much you can build up and add to it.
That sounds like a very interesting game. You know what it reminds me of? Because the way you describe it, especially because it's like a 50-50 because half of the gameplay, the regular gameplay is kind of like nothing like it, while the other one's very similar. I was say KH Melody of Memory, the boss gameplay is actually almost exactly like that. Where you have to do is you have to hit it at the right rhythm, but the gameplay's kind of like it feels kind of normal, or like, oh yeah, you're just timing it, but you're actually fighting normal. And then on the left or like the right, it grades you on how well you're doing the performance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it
Yeah,
reminds me of. Yeah.
and yeah, if it's because they're rhythm games, there's going to be some sort of crossover. There's going to
Hmm.
some stuff that's the same. What I was gonna say, what it kind of reminds me of in terms of aesthetic, a lot of people in the chat they were saying, "Oh, is it like a successor to Sunset Overdrive?" Kind of, because Sunset Overdrive was also very like, very out there with like its comedy, and it was very like colorful and stuff. So I can kind of see that. It also
That's
kind of reminds me a bit of stuff like No More Heroes, because No More Heroes,
mm,
it has like a whole aesthetic where like you're fighting these different, bosses, and each of them has like their own gimmick going on, and I don't know how to describe it. And then this
yeah.
kind of has that where you're like fighting the different people have are part of this evil organization, and all these like bosses have like their own like look and aesthetic, and like they each represent like a different genre of like rock, I think, or something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that where it just feels like very themed like that.
Oh, that's pretty lit. Yeah.
But yeah, pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. Played, like I said, the first chapter for the channel. Hopefully people check that out. Hopefully they get an idea what the game's like. And even though I'm not like the most rhythmically, like perfect candidate to like show it off, hopefully they get an idea of what the game's like and they liked it.
And
And
then
on
they
my
get to check it
own,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
on my own, I'm gonna keep checking it out as well. And the best part is that it's on Windows, like I think Steam and stuff, and as well as the Xbox, Series X and S. But if you have Game Pass, you get it for free.
Oh, nice.
So I got it for free. Like, oh, that's the best part too. Once again, going back to the direct, it was so cool. They showed the game off. It looked really cool. And they're like, yeah, the game comes out later today.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and I was like, "Damn, that's crazy." They just like announce the game, and like, yeah, it comes out like the next like minute, basically.
Yeah, it comes out like a few hours from now.
It's
And
like,
yeah, that's why people were like, damn, like a lot of people, like I've heard a lot talk about this game since it came out. And people are like, damn, like just like out of nowhere, 2023 Game of the Year contender, like just shadow drops and is like super kick ass and like no one saw it coming.
yeah,
But it's so good. It's so fun. It has such a. I like the comedy. I like the aesthetic. I like the gameplay. I want to play more and get better at it. So there you go.
nice.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, Hi-Fi Juice,
Now it's Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Juice. Okay,
Stop saying that. It's Hi-Fi
because
Rush.
because Hi-Fi is the name of like the zero carbonated like juice soda stuff.
Isn't it High C?
Oh, I thought it was
No,
Hi-Fi.
it's High C, you idiot. God damn it. All right, let's just about that. Oh my God. All right, that's it for my week, I guess. That's it for your week. So there you go, guys. We said it would be pretty short. Moving on to the news. These are also pretty short. There's not really too much to cover. They're all pretty self-explanatory, I think, but they're interesting stories nonetheless. So the first one, as the title of the article states, Rick and Morty to be recast after Adult Swim fires Justin Roiland. So for anyone
Oh
who doesn't
yeah.
know, it's been all over like the news, but if someone doesn't know, hasn't heard about it, basically, Rick and Morty was kind of made by two guys. One of them is Dan Harmon, who's known for doing stuff like the Community, comedy series. And the
Hmm.
other one is Justin Roiland, who has done all sorts of voices and stuff like Gravity Falls and Fish Hooks, and
As
he's like
a,
he's a
Adventure
comedian.
Time.
Yeah, Adventure Time. He's a comedian that he does a lot of voices, and he's created a few series. And unfortunately, he's been accused of a bunch of really negative stuff, like domestic abuse. I think like stuff involving minors,
I
all
saw
sorts
that.
of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, you can look into it. But the point is that, yeah, Adult Swim, they put out a message that said, we've cut ties with him. We're not going to keep working with him. You don't have to worry. Rick and Morty will continue. They're working on season 7 right now, but we're not going to continue with him. And I also didn't like talk about it here because I didn't want to like fill it with too much news stories. But there are other news stories as well where it says like, oh, we cut ties with Justin Roiland, but like some other shows he was working on, like Solar Opposites, was on Hulu. Like that show's going to continue without him. I don't remember all the shows he was involved with, but the point is the other stuff he's involved with. Oh, the game studio too, the one that just made that game High on Life, Squanch Games.
Oh
Same
yeah.
thing. They're like, yeah, Squanch Games will continue to make games, but we're not working with him either. He resigned.
Mm.
So everyone basically cut ties with him. I mean, the part's kind of good is that at least projects will continue without him, which is kind of nice because
Hmm.
there's a lot of hardworking people, obviously, and it's kind of nice to get to keep doing their thing. But yeah, unfortunately, they got rid of him because there's just all this stuff about him. And like it says here, apparently they're gonna recast, and they're saying that what they're thinking they're doing is they're either, they can do it a few ways, and they're trying to say what to do. They've said that obviously they could get like impersonators because there's a lot of people that can really easily impersonate the voices. Like they're not hard to do,
Hmm.
honestly. So a lot of people said that maybe they'll get like impersonators, or they said since it is so meta the show, they could always just whatever voice they want, and they could just be like a throwaway joke of like the beginning of the next season, like, oh boy, Rick, we do sound different for some reason, don't we? Like our voice got messed up, and then they can be like, yeah. I guess so. And just move on, and that's it.
Yeah,
You know what I
or
mean?
just make some dumb thing about, oh, it's like a Rick and Morty from like a different universe, and the other ones are just like gone because why
I mean,
not?
that would be kind of weird since it seems like they're trying to follow like a certain ones for like story reasons, but
Hmm.
whatever. The point is what you said. They can play with it however they want, obviously. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, like I said, pretty self-explanatory. But just I kind of want to give some background in case people didn't know. But now you know that yeah, one of the half of the guys who created it, he got fired, and they're gonna move on without him. And I'm honestly wondering what's gonna happen with the other guy because the other guy I think has also been accused of stuff here and there and gotten in trouble. So
I
like,
wouldn't be
oof.
surprised.
So that's
Like,
like oof. I don't know if like
yeah,
they might have to drop the other guy as well later. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So for Rick and Morty fans, I mean, stay tuned. We'll have to see how uh the series changes, going forward.
yeah.
Speaking of just weird choices, this kind of reminds me of what we were talking about last week. We were talking about weird adaptation choices.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like reading the title. It's just like, oh my god. As the title of the article states, Cowboy Bebop anime director stopped watching Netflix adaptation after one scene. And it says like in the little like subheading, it's
It's
clearly
clearly
not Cowboy Bebop, the
the
director
director
said.
said.
Oh my god. So basically, let me read the part where it talks about it. Hold on. It says right here. For the new Netflix live action adaptation, they sent me a video to review and check, Watanabe said. It started with a scene in a casino, which made it very tough for me to continue. I stopped there and only saw that opening scene. It was clearly not Cowboy Bebop, he continued. I realized at that point that if I wasn't involved, it would not be Cowboy Bebop. I felt that maybe I should have done this, although the value of the original anime is somehow far higher now. So yeah, basically the guy who made Cowboy Bebop, because that's what confused me. That talked about him being involved, but then I guess based on this, he wasn't really involved. I guess like maybe he just gave his blessing. I guess not
Or
really
maybe
sure
he
how it
joined like
works.
later, a bit later or something.
Yeah, I don't know because I thought I had heard that he wasn't gonna be involved, but it might have just been that he gave his okay and he put like his name
Hmm.
as a producer. Maybe I'm not too sure, but based on this, the whole point is they
He
made the live
absolutely hates it.
action Bebop. They showed him a scene they showed him a thing for him to watch. He saw one scene, couldn't get through it, and that's where he gave up. And it says here, if you like learn the article, it says that yeah, apparently he just watched the beginning with the casino, and he just like didn't like the pacing, and he didn't like the way they like were like I don't know, just showcasing stuff. Like it was just like he didn't
It
like
felt
it.
weird, yeah.
And it's like, wow, that's really crazy. Like he just gave up that soon, man. The fact that he gave up after just like seeing like a minute of it, that's sad.
Good.
But
Good that
that
he didn't
shows
like it.
you,
Okay.
yeah, that shows you why it failed though,
Failed.
because when the creator looks at it and he can't like sit through like the
He
opening because he goes
he
like
can't, it's unbearable, yeah.
that's how you know like oh my god, that's really bad.
Especially because I seen like a scene from like the freaking like show on like YouTube. Dude, you know what it feels like? It feels like those really like 2010, like late 2000s to 2010s, like skits where they would be trying to be funny and they would be like the weird, awkward, like camera angles and stuff. That's what it kind of feels like too at certain scenes.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's just kind of like uncomfortable because it's like, is this supposed to be like a show or is this supposed to be a YouTube video? Like,
Yeah, exactly. So there you have it. I just want to talk about that because I thought it was interesting that yeah, the creator himself was just like, nah, I'm outie. He's like, nope.
good. I'm proud of
And
him.
the crazy part is that Netflix still has the One Piece and
Oh
live
boy.
action Avatar, so we'll have to see how that goes.
One Piece, I can't wait for it. Oh
Oh
god.
boy. And finally, for our last news story, once again, pretty self-explanatory, but it is disappointing nonetheless. It says Naughty Dog moving on from Uncharted, open to Last of Us Part 3 if it has a compelling story. So this kind of it feels like it's two parts. The first part, if we focus on the Uncharted stuff, on the one hand, I kind of get it because Uncharted 4 definitely felt like a good send off to the main character. Like it wrapped
Yeah.
up his story nicely. and then they just spin off, which okay, I mean, I guess it kind of sucks that they don't want to continue because the spin-off left it open to like, okay, let's focus on these characters now. But I
Yeah,
don't know, at the same time, I do feel like at least it's one of those things where at least the series ended on a good note. You know what I mean?
yeah.
However, what disappoints me though, not so much that they're not going to continue with Uncharted, although I would like to see more, it's just that I feel like Naughty Dog has the same damn problem as Rockstar, where they only want to make one game now.
Mm-hmm.
Like back in this game, back in the day, Rockstar used to make a whole bunch of stuff. You know, they used to make Grand Theft Auto. They made the Bully series.
Exactly, Bully.
They
That's what I was gonna
made
mention.
oh my god, what else did Rockstar make, man? I'm like totally blinking right now. Manhunt. You know, they used to make a whole bunch of stuff. Is the point? Like it wasn't just oh, they made Red Dead Redemption, obviously. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like the point is they didn't make just Grand Theft Auto. They used to, oh, Max Payne, for instance, Midnight Club, those racing games. Yeah, they used to make a few things, which is really cool. And lately, it's like, okay, all they make is like, you know, Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 5.
Grand
They
Theft Auto 5
finally, they
again.
finally, you know, made you know, Red Dead Redemption 2, but then they kind of dropped it, you know, and all the online stuff really quick, and so they can continue with the 5 and all that online crap, you know, where they're just making money off of microtransactions. And then the next
Mm-hmm.
thing they announce is Grand Theft Auto 6,
Mm-hmm.
which who knows how far away that even is. But like all they're doing is Grand Theft Auto mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And so that
It's real.
sucks because we'd like to see some of their other series, but I guess we're never going to get them. And Naughty Dog has that same problem where they used to make so much stuff like Jack and Daxter and
Crash Bandicoot.
I'll say Banjo Kazooie. Yeah, Crash Bandicoot, and you know, they used to make all this stuff. And then same thing where it's like, oh, they made Last of Us. And after they made Last of Us, is that they're too good to make anything else? I mean, they did kind of, you know, finish, luckily, like I said, the Uncharted series. But like, no, that's Last of Us. That's Last of Us 2. Now they're remaking Last of Us 1 again. And it's like, that's all they care about now. All they care about is Last of Us and, you know, being super realistic and like gritty and stuff. And it's like, you guys have other stuff in the series. Like, it sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. So the first part of the news, it makes me kind of torn. On the one hand, I do feel like Troy at least it did have a good ending, a good like send off, but it sucks that Naughty Dog keeps showing their colors, that they refuse to make anything different. But then that brings us to the second part of the story where it says open to The Last of Us Part 3 if it has a compelling story. That makes it sound like they're not even interested in making more Last of Us either, though.
Like it's like they have to wait until someone comes up with them with a very interesting like story. Yeah.
But what that makes me think is like, okay, you guys aren't interested in making like a bunch of series like the old days, but then you're not that interested in like
Making
jumping to the next Last of Us either, because you would think, oh, it's because they have Last of Us 3 plan. No, not either. So like, what are you guys planning to make then going
re-
forward?
they're gonna remake Last of Us 2.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. That no, they're just gonna, you know, remake Last of Us 1, take however long they need to do with that, because they're supposed to be like a multiplayer thing that's like separate, and then probably Last of Us 2 remade again, I guess. And like maybe that's their plan. Like I don't know, but it's just so weird. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
don't understand companies that do this. Like I said, Rockstar has the same problem where they have all these huge. They have so much money coming in because of their microtransactions, obviously, and their games sell well, and they have the people on deck. I would think because they have like these huge studios, but then they don't want to make anything. Like they want to just focus on like one type of game, and it's like I don't know,
It's
man.
super
It's stuff
difficult.
like that that disappoints me, you know, and it sucks because
Yeah.
at that point, I mean, I guess I wish Naughty Dog would like hand some of its series to like a different creator then or something. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
I
want to share that because I just thought that I don't know. I just have so much thoughts about it. You know what I mean? There's like so much to
Naughty
unpack.
Dog has really gone downhill.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, like the games they make are still good, but it just sucks that yeah, like
It
their
feels like the
mentality.
company itself has been going kind of like,
Yeah, like
yeah.
their mentality and how like they're like no, only gritty stuff and realistic and like that's the stuff that bothers me. You know?
I was say I can't wait for The Last of Us 3, but not even like a second later they announced the remake. So you not only get to play
Yeah,
the third
it's Last
game.
of Us 3 for like the PS. I can still be PS5. I don't know. Let's make the joke it's for PS5. Last of Us 3 for the PS5, but if you pre-order, you'll get the Last of Us 3 remake for the PS6.
It's like, what the fuck?
Why?
Like, why do you guys work on a remake of it?
Oh my God, right? Oh,
It's like a new engine.
It's like, why didn't you just make that the third one then? Why? Oh, I don't know, man. It's so stupid. That's it for the news, guys. There you go. Yeah, it is what it is. Just news stories about
Mhm.
stuff that's kind of awkward here and there, but interesting nonetheless. So I just want to share that with you guys. And really quick, jumping over to the topic of the week, it's going to tie into the last story. No surprise here, since I feel like Naughty Dog has really done their games dirty, and I did mention Uncharted. What I was going to suggest is if you guys haven't played the games in the Uncharted series, I would say go play them. They have the Uncharted collection. I believe it's like the whole collection on PS5 and 4. I believe on both. And then Thieves, no, sorry, Lost Legacy is the only one that wouldn't be part of the collection. That's a spin-off. And there's
Yeah,
also, I think, like some like PS Vita games and stuff too, right? So any of the
yeah,
spin-offs, you would have to like track those down. But at least when it comes to the main four games, I believe they're all part of like the collection for PS5 and 4 or whatever. So
yeah.
that's easy to find. And yeah, the reason I think that everybody should play the Uncharted series is for anyone who doesn't know, Uncharted stars Nathan Drake. He's a treasure hunter. And if you love stuff like, Tomb Raider or especially Indiana Jones,
That's
it's
what I was
kind of
thinking.
it's
Yeah,
kind of that style where you have this roguish guy. He's a treasure hunter. He's after treasure, runs into all sorts of adventures. And it's kind of cool because the gameplay is a lot of like shooting, first person shooter, but then it also has all sorts of puzzles and platforming and stuff because similar to like the characters from Assassin's Creed, Nathan Drake just like jumps and climbs all over everything, which is really fun sometimes.
oh yeah, yeah. I've seen the gameplay. It's pretty interesting. That yeah, you have to like climb on things and
Yeah, sometimes you're climbing on stuff
hide.
as stuff is getting like destroyed and falling everywhere around you. You have to like
Hmm.
climb and escape too, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
When it comes to the games, the first one, I'll just mention all four of them in order, the main ones. So the first one is Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Second one is Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. Third one is Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception. And the fourth one is Uncharted 4 A Thief's End. Like I said, there are some Vita spin-offs. One is Golden Abyss. The other one is Fight for Fortune. And then the spin-off one that stars different characters who are from the series. It's the Lost Legacy. So,
yeah,
when it comes to the main titles, the first one is probably the hardest to go back to because obviously it's the first game. It wasn't as polished. Gameplay isn't going to be the best.
yeah,
But from there forward, they're pretty good. And like I said, it's pretty cool because in each game he's after a different artifact or something like different, like a different adventure.
yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty cool. Like in the first one, for instance, I believe that's where he is after yeah, Drake's Fortune. I think this is the one where he's after. Let me see if I can just find it real quick. What is he after in this one? Yeah, the first one's the one where he's looking for El Dorado, and the way they
Oh,
interpret
that's
what El
cool.
Dorado is pretty cool because usually El Dorado is a city of gold. Here it's something a little different. I like it. I really like how they mess with that.
Yeah,
Then among the thieves, he is looking for the Sintamani stone and Shambhala, which is like a whole Asian culture. It's stuff that has to do with like them and their mythology. So that's
yeah.
pretty cool. Then Drake's Deception, he is looking for the lost city of Aram of the Pillars,
Oh,
which
that's
that I
cool.
believe has to do with something from the Quran. So as you can
That's
see, it kind of
cool.
even touches almost like on different like religions, different like different mythologies and stuff. And then in A Thief's End, he's looking for the treasure of what is the treasure? Henry Avery's long lost treasure.
Oh,
And
that's
Henry
super
Avery
cool.
was like a pirate, I believe. So
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's kind of cool. In each adventure, he's looking for a different treasure that's like specific to like a different culture and stuff.
That's
And like I said,
super
even the way
cool.
they interpret it and like locations you go, it's always really interesting how they depict like what the treasure is or its resting place and stuff. And like it's really cool. So
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
um
it seems pretty cool based off the fact that it's not like fictional. Like it's fictional, of course, but I mean, is it's based off of actual like
stuff you've heard of
stuff.
in real life. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's not like they're like, oh, we're after like the crown of like the space queen, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
that's fun, but it has nothing to do with anything I've ever heard of. No, it's stuff you've heard of in real life,
yeah,
mentioned, somewhere, and then you see him actually like go after it. Yeah.
yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like I said, so it's very like Indiana Jones-ish, and like the humor and like the action and stuff, kind of how he acts and stuff. Nathan Drake, and it's
Yeah,
just cool because as you play the games, not only do they get better in the sense of mechanics and stuff, and they evolve, but like the graphics get better. You see the life of Nathan Drake because obviously he starts like as a more younger treasure hunter, and by the end, you kind of see him way older and you kind of see where he is in life and stuff, like by the last one. So it's kind of
yeah.
cool that it really does feel like you see the story of Nathan Drake too, which is cool. Like you see him age and progress through the
Nice.
stories too, which is pretty cool. So if you play
Yeah,
all four of those games, it's like yeah, it's like watching, like his story, his life story. You get like the whole story of Nathan Drake and who he is and stuff.
his character development, like literally, basically.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's
Hmm.
just yeah, it's really fun. I remember when the fourth one was coming out, I was really excited, and it's maybe I don't know, maybe not the strongest in terms of like how like the lost some of like the it might not be like the strongest in terms of what you're after, like the whole scale of it, but it still
Yeah,
has some really cool stuff in terms of characters and story, and like I said, seeing like where Nathan ends up and stuff.
nice.
So that's why, like I said, I recommend the Uncharted series. If you get your hands on those four main ones, awesome. If you want to play the spin-offs as well, more power to you. They're pretty fun as well. And there you go, guys. That is what I recommend. Hopefully, you guys check it out. And I don't know, like I said, I would love to see more games in the series, but I guess if we don't, I don't know. At least it did have a proper send off, so at least it's not terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well, actually, real quick, yeah, just end it. Again, I do recommend, yeah, Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children. Honestly, same thing, kind of like with you, where you saying Uncharted, the last one was like a good send off. It's kind of obvious that Advent Children was originally supposed to be the ending of the seven like universe, basically.
Hmm.
Honestly, same thing. I feel like it was a good send off where everyone's kind of standing around, everyone's happy, everyone's finally moving on from everything that's happened in the past 2 years. So, again, I definitely recommend that. And like we've been saying since like, the past like ever since we started this like podcast, we recommend the Persona games. Um,
Hmm.
they've been pretty fun, and yeah, I recommend them. We Rabbit definitely recommends them, and yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, basically, there you go. You wrapped up a lot of my thoughts. So there you go, guys. That's basically the end of the podcast. You heard of the man. We recommend everything that we talked about, basically.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's the end of our podcast. As always, we will try to be back next week with episode 14. We'll see how it goes. All right, we got to get going. So we are out. Bye bye.
Bye bye.